What's up, everybody? Stratford Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. It's snowing here in Maryland. We've got a little bit of a dusting. The driveway, the sidewalks have zero snow on them. The grass is kind of sort of covered. So I tried desperately to get some good shots with my Jajo Classified Series snow job. I don't know I don't know how the picture is going to turn out, but at least I got to get out in the snow. Sharlock Prime, though, told me that, hey, there is snow available in some areas. Check out all the magnificence outside of Sharlock Prime's house. I'm like, that's the kind of snow that I need, that I want to take all my snow themed figures, vehicles, my big Star Wars Black Series Hoth speeder, put that sucker out there, go to work shooting. But that's not going to be the case. So my MLK days basically spent inside, not having a big snow fight with my figures. Fortunately, I've got some other cool news to report on. You guys may have seen this, but I just want to get my thoughts on it as well. Rectangular is back at it again with a mega release or leaked list of all the Marvel Legends figures we can expect to get in the rest of 2024. And Rectangular really came through last time. I was like, I feel like most of these figures that were announced on the leaked list, we actually saw them. And so I was like, well, let's go back through them. I want to see just how accurate this list was. And it was really dead on. So you see right from the jump, it's got all of the MCU figures, the Quantum Mania set, the Marvel set, the Disney Wave 5, and the TBC hero that was mentioned. We know now was the Goliath figure. And so just really naming all these characters. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, hit on those, Deluxe Groot, Best of MCU. We're just getting those figures now for the most part. I think Nick Fury might be one we haven't seen just yet, but everything else has been dead on. I think this unknown hero, that would be Bruce Banner. So I guess we're going to get a Nick Fury at some point. The No Way Home wave was dead on. I believe we got those Into the Spider-Verse characters as well. That was a Cyborg Spider-Woman, so check there. Avengers 60th anniversary wave. All those figures were dead on. That's really cool. Right down to the Walmart exclusives. Bucky Cap, the Target exclusive Black Widow. 1-on-1 for those. We had the Puff Adder wave, which we knew didn't even have the Build-A-Figure set for this, but we knew all those figures coming. And then the 2-pack of Valeria and Franklin. So basically everything that we were looking on came through. The Marvel Night wave, which was the mindless one, we got that covered. So everything that he wrote down on this lead list came to fruition, including the X-Men 97 wave, the Build-A-Figure Chode wave for the X-Men, the 60th anniversary X-Men line or lineup. So blah, the 5-pack, the Outback Rogue, the 3-pack Yellow Suits, Psylocke. Yeah, so I mean, we had everything that he came through with. JT Prime also had a couple of figures that we didn't see as of yet. That's the Mega Deluxe Shuma Garak and Spider-Verse Penny and SPDR. But Rectangular was dead on with all those picks, all those choices, all those leaks. So pretty exciting time to be a Marvel Legends collector. If you're still into the line, if you haven't gave up on them, like I know some of you have, but I'm still invested in all about collecting Marvel Legends in 2024, 2025, and beyond. So we got a few more leak lists, and I'm not quite sure who to give the credit to for this. It's either Rectangular, DMB, JT Prime, displaying model behavior. So I'm just going to throw it out there as a blanket. Got you all covered with the credit. So these are the figures we're supposed to see. And a lot of these were mentioned earlier, but this is just a nice summary of those. Reissue of the Galactus Herald Thor with darker colors. It's interesting because I went to Burlington and saw this figure, so I don't think there's going to be a huge demand for this one. Count Nefaria is definitely one figure that I'm looking forward to. I really hope I don't need to virtually trash a wrong costume when he's revealed. Then we've also got Kazar, a nice addition to the line. Hopefully we'll get the rest of his crew really soon as well. Comic book version of the Eternals Icarus. That makes sense after the after the movie exposure. Like to see a Cersei version with her in her green outfit to accompany him as well, but that's a good addition. a Heroes Reborn Iron Man. We're getting close to knocking out all of the essential Iron Man armor. So it's nice to see this one added. I thought that was a really cool costume, and they worked it into normal continuity anyway. So there you go. And then X Factor Wolfsbane, maybe the most important one in this because we can actually complete a team with her. So that's exciting. Then we got the Shield 3-pack, and that's going to have Nick Fury with an alternate head for Nick Fury Jr. Still trying to wrap my head around how that worked out, but whatever. We got a Dum Dum Dugan as well and Sharon Carter. That's going to be a 3-pack. I think a lot of us are going to pick up maybe to supplement our Shield armies, based on maybe a bigger mold for that Dum Dum Dugan and adding more Nick Fury bodies as well to the mix. So that's exciting. Now let's go on to the leak list of characters that we should be expecting based on the track record of Rectangular and his leak list. So first up, and this one, like a lot of these, I felt like this leak list made a lot of sense just in terms of what was slated based on the figures we've already got and how they complement this leak list. So let's take a look at them. First up is the MCU Deadpool Colossus. Now, this makes a ton of sense because we've gotten everybody else from the Deadpool movie universe. Got Deadpool 3 coming. No reason to suspect the Colossus won't be part of that mix. And it's got a pretty cool build and mold and all that good stuff. So I think this would be a pretty fun figure and definitely your big centerpiece of your Deadpool collection. I haven't gotten any of these figures, but this is a nice addition to kind of wrap up the whole crew for everybody who has been collecting them. Next up is something that I feel like the Hasbro Marvel Legends team does not do enough of. And of course, I'm talking about completing teams that they start. This one was a real surprise to me. In addition to seeing the Marvel Legends, Fantastic Four, Franklin Richards, and Valeria Richards being sold out. And it is sold out everywhere. Amazon, Entertainment Earth, I'm pretty sure Big Bad Toy Store sold out. I didn't check them to be sure, but those other three all sold out. And we're actually going to complete the team because another 2-pack. It's going to be Spider-Man and Wolverine in their blue Fantastic Four attires, inverse to Franklin and Valeria. So they've got more blue compared to more black on the siblings' costumes. They all got their little logos and insignias right in the middle there, their individual ones. So Spider for Spider-Man and the X for Wolverine. Kind of feel like he should have 3 claws since he's always with these other teams, as if he's still declaring his allegiance to the X-Men despite running around with all these other squads. So anyway, we got that and completing the team. So Gold Star for Hasbro's Marvel Legends squad for starting a team, finishing it. Hopefully that can be a theme that we see continue through the rest of 2024. So another Spider-Man edition is a 2-pack of Venom and Carnage. And I'm not quite sure what we need this set for because I feel like we've gotten some pretty definitive versions of both Carnage and Venom. So I don't know if there's another mold that both would benefit from using, or there's a better mold for Carnage. There's a better new mold they've created for Venom. I don't know. I feel like I've gotten a pretty strong definitive version of both of these characters. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, if they really needed a new one for these 2 characters. Next up, a Build-A-Figure that we've gotten already is it's Venom Pool, but this is going to be a deluxe one. And we've seen Hasbro do this in the past where, hey, we've got to build a figure, a couple years go by, we'll release it separately. This is an interesting one just because they put so much work into this sculpt. You can see all the texturing, the little stitching, and the details done on the mask and then on the arms throughout the body. So it's one of those deals where, they weren't going to just let it sit with one use and call it a day. That's why everyone who's going, hey, are we going to get this version of Angel? Yeah, they create all the buck needed to implement a new mold. They're going to use it as often as possible. And we're going to see a lot more Angels than we will this Venom Pool. We're getting him again. I don't know what they're going to do to make him deluxe. Maybe just change the coloring somewhat, but he is also coming back into the mix. Another one that we're seeing again. Now, this is starting to become a bit of a trend in these league lineups where, there are figures that are getting tweaks and put back out there. And when I look, the Superior Spider-Man does go for a pretty decent amount on eBay on the secondary market. So I can see for people who might have missed out, there's a chance to get him back again. But the Superior Spider-Man, likely on that new Spider-Man mold, will be getting a new figure. So I don't know if I need to get another one. I really like the original one we got, but I do love that new Spider-Man body. So maybe that's a worthwhile fix-up addition to the lineup, especially with his pins being correct. Then we've got another 3-pack, and this one is an interesting one because it just says Captain America, and I'm so far behind on what the heck is going on the comic books on the modern front. And I know the Marvel Legends team likes to take some tips and use some figures or characters from modern storylines to make into figures that no one, but a very small amount of collectors were looking for compared to some essential ones that we're still waiting on. Anyway, this one's a 3-pack of Captain America. I'm going to assume it's Steve Rogers. Maybe they'll do some painting on that new mold that we've seen, the Marvel Legends 20th anniversary mold. Maybe put them in darker colors. We've got Sam Wilson, Captain America, that we already know is coming back out as a Target exclusive. So not quite sure where they're going to go there. And the Bucky cap. And he was just released as a Walmart figure. So I'm wondering if maybe this is a different kind of Captain America set. Maybe it's Cap with a Captain America John Walker using a bigger mold. Maybe. I just don't know. I'm not quite sure where they would go with this, but it's in the listing, so I've made sure to just include it as well. Then we got Iron Fist, and this was absolutely needed, an essential character on so many levels, finally getting his due, getting the classic version of his longtime outfit with the karate, with the full-on spandex, the little footies, the whole outfit. I love this attire for him, and he's had some other ones that are cool, but this one is the Iron Fist figure that I've needed for my updated Marvel Legends shelf. My Toy Biz version just exploded, and I was like, okay, time to retire you. So I'm really looking forward to getting this one, especially since we just got the Power Man version or figure later on, very late last year. But the interesting thing with this one, he's also part of a 2-pack. And Rectangular did not list the second figure in this set. So there's some speculation, who could it be? Now, my first choice, of course, was, if you're going to do this, you got to throw in Misty Knight. She desperately needs a better figure. And, there's different ways they could go with her. They could just go with Private Eye version Misty, like this really basic setup. They can finally give us a better version on that original Marvel Legends one. They can barely stand because the hair just topples her over since she's using a really weak mold. But I'm also thinking maybe they're just going to go simple and go with an obvious choice and do this. Give us this figure. Another Power Man. I know we just got one, but maybe they'll fix that issue with the shoulders and that whole huge hole that they had, so it wasn't colored in the yellow, and give him the blue pants. We've gotten so many Luke Cage Power Man figures where his pants, which always seemed in the comic book to be portrayed as blue, get that black color scheme. Even the Toy Biz version had that. So maybe this 2-pack is just like this, Power Man and Iron Fist. And that would be great. Maybe this time they can go with an expressive head for Luke, give him a more fierce face, fierce expression, got the teeth gritted, like he's ready to go to work. Maybe make it interchangeable with the original one that we got. So there's some options on that with him. So that is very exciting. Next up is another overdue character. It's Odin. And Odin, you really can't go wrong with a likeness. He is probably the least worthy character to get a wrong costume because there's so many different looks for Odin, so many different interpretations they can go with him, where it just feels like any look can't go wrong. My preference would be a Walt Simonson designed outfit look for him, but he's one they can just go so many ways with, and it'll be all good. So here's a Walt Simonson look for him. You're never going to mess up if you just go with, hey, what are the traditional elements of Odin? He should be big. If you get that, I mean, there's so many molds that they could use for him. Maybe he's a candidate where they're just like, all right, we've designed the buck for Odin and we've included all the plating for his armor. We're just going to repaint this one to death, and we'll just have all these different versions of Odin, and I would not complain about that. So we're getting Odin. Next is another character that I'm not quite sure which way they're going to go with the design and costume choice. And the only thing was listed was Hulkbuster. Now, we've gotten a really good Marvel Legends Hulkbuster before. I don't know how they're going to enhance the articulation, which might have been the only thing off with that one. But I just don't see them putting in all the hard work and effort to really knock that out. This picture comes courtesy of the gang at toyarc.com. Make sure to check them out. Love their photo galleries. They do really amazing work. Destro and the crew over there. But yeah, I'm fine with this one. I know there's a more comic book accurate version, but I don't need 1,000 Hulkbusters because at this scale, this is a nice shelf hog figure, and I'm happy with that because the size is necessary. But another choice, another option is this government version, and that one is very interesting, and I'm not really sure how they would go about this, but if they do the right thing and make it a singular pack, then hey, we can army build and have all these United States Hulkbuster versions to go fight our Hulk. So there's another option with that, but I'm not quite sure if that's where they're going to go. One figure I know for sure that they need to go and which direction they need to take with this is Ghost Rider. And I don't care about Johnny Blaze in this case. I don't care about anybody else. We need Dan Ketch. And this is not really Dan Ketch, his classic motorcycle, but I need Dan Ketch. And if we're not going to get a deluxe set with his bike, then we just need him with his spikes on the shoulder pads, the gauntlets with the spikes, the whole Dan Ketch experience. Finally need that in Marvel Legends modern figure form from Hasbro. So there's one choice with that, and it's this look. Next up, let's stroll on along to Man-Thing. Now, this is a character that we've already gotten in figure form with the Marvel MCU Netflix version, and that's been a long time at this point, so I can see why they will want to get this back out. I'm very curious if they're going to change the mold and update anything, or if it's going to be the exact same figure that we got from before, maybe with a slight tweak to the paint job, just so people who got that original don't feel completely cheated. But Man-Thing's a cool character. He got work back in Werewolf by Night, so there's a reason to reintroduce that figure. So would not be upset to see him back in rotation. Next up is Scar, another one that benefited from some Disney Plus exposure, probably much to the chagrin of a lot of fans of how these characters should be portrayed. Anyway, Scar showed up randomly at the end of She-Hulk, and spoilers, sorry if you hadn't seen She-Hulk, but really, you made out all right by skipping She-Hulk. Scar is the son of Hulk, and really interesting look for him. And I think based on some other characters that Hasbro has released lately, there's another reason to include him, and that was because of his early membership in Dark Avengers. And you see this team, this was changed up significantly from the time when that book actually came out. Not many of these characters stayed on the team, but our Tommy Lee Jones version of Norman Osborn. This is probably my favorite of the Brian Michael Bendis run on the Avengers, this whole Dark Reign era. But anyway, Scar is part of this team, so team builders, there's another reason to get excited about him and his inclusion into the line. Next up is retro cards. We got Prowler, and excuse me, I had to throw up my version of him. I thought they did a really great job with this figure. Maybe they can implement the cape a little bit better, but this figure had great articulation, really good colors. I love the combination of green and purple. That's so symbolic of all of the Spider-Man villains. And I thought this was a really good figure. So maybe they'll just lose the pins and go with this figure basically all intact and just put them on the retro card. So interesting choice. I feel like there's probably another Spider-Man villain or two that they could have included for the first time in the line, but I think a lot of people missed out on Prowler, so I'm not upset with this choice too. Next up is Professor X, and I had to track this down because it was really hard for some reason finding the Jim Lee version actual picture. But anyway, Jumpsuit Professor X is in a retro card, and I feel like this is the look that makes the most sense to kind of put him in a standalone retro card. Yeah, he's traditionally in a suit, but I feel like they've released so many suit figures, and we've already got our Professor X in this suit. And without the wheelchair, I think that would be kind of an odd choice. But this one would make use of the wheelchair hover chair that we already have. So I think this look makes a lot of sense for the retro card Professor Xavier. And then one that's kind of exciting to me based on the possibilities of what they could do with it is Quicksilver. So Quicksilver is coming again. This time, I gotta assume and I've gotta hope we're finally gonna get him in his green outfit. This is his original Brotherhood of Evil Mutants costume, but he rocked this look when he first joined the Avengers. And my preference is they get this head sculpt just so where he's got a little snooty, arrogant look to him. He's got his hair bangs wide, not kind of sort of like that Family Matters 3-pack Quicksilver. Hopefully, with a head that's not super massive. That was not his superpower running with this huge head. But this figure would be really great to add to the collection, put him with Cap. And I don't think we really have a original Hawkeye yet, but maybe that's an opportunity to do a Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch set. So that would be really cool. Nice to see him back in the rotation because I needed Quicksilver and one that I like the head sculpt a little bit more than the one we originally got. And then let me just see here. There's some other figures. Oh, of course, I got too happy with my clicks. There's going to be a retro card Carnage, and that's another one. I'm like, well, what's the point of the Carnage and Venom set if you're going to release him on a separate retro card? Maybe they'll just go with the cartoon version, but just kind of got that in a 2-pack, right? I don't understand why. What's the fascination and love of Carnage? They've already done some really good figures of Carnage. He's not one that needs a slightly tweaked, slightly enhanced version, but we're getting another one of Carnage. But one figure that is coming that I am very happy with, and I'm hoping that this figure has all the articulation and a great sculpt and no crazy seam lines because we're getting a new version of Warbird. And this, of course, is my favorite incarnation of Carol Danvers. And, you know, I don't really get the thing about this costume being too risque or whatever. I just love the little swoosh there we've got on her front. It is really not as risque as some of the costumes we've seen. Now, I know some artists like Frank Cho, not to call him out, but Frank Cho will make this a super sexy outfit, but I don't think it has to be done in a whoa. But I really do want this figure to not have, like the shapeless body that we're seeing with so many of these new figures. Like, she's definitely not a board. And I think that that's key to how they sculpt these female figures in particular, because they don't just need to act like they're like this. They're not actually. Anyway, another figure that we're getting, and this is part of a 2-pack. Now, this was an interesting one. We're going to be getting a Crossbones and a Constrictor set. Now, Constrictor clearly needed a new figure. This is way back when they first started tooling around with these Marvel Legends. So you can see the ugliness of the hip joint. It's not my favorite. He's using their version of the Bullseye Buck. That was hard to say. And, it's aged. And this is definitely a figure where I'm like tooling around and posing him. He's not as much fun as some of the others. I love the head sculpt, though. They can keep that intact. There we go. I would be really happy with it. And, but the rest of it, he's not a terrible figure. He's one that's like, in terms of low level villains, I don't know if I needed a better one, but I'm happy to see that he's getting replaced. Crossbones, however, I'm not sure what they're going to do to make this figure better, unless they just got a different mold they want to throw out there. But I thought that one was pretty good and not in serious need of an overhaul. So there were some redos, revisions, or let's take another look at this character where I'm like, this character doesn't need to cut the line. We still have some other ones who are desperately in need of an update. Hey, what's up, Yellow Jacket? Hey, what's up, Green and Yellow Banshee? So those two probably needed this cut to the line way faster than Crossbones, and to a degree, Constrictor. I mean, he would benefit from these new molds that they're using, but I mean, there's some good stuff with this figure. I mean, look at the implementation of his coils. I mean, they could just reuse those with whatever new figure they come up with. But we got those two coming. And then we've got a 4-pack, which is very interesting. And I'm really, like I said, I've been going through the Bendis run where he's the main writer of Marvel. So I've been going through New Avengers, finished Civil War, now I'm midway through Secret Invasion, which is leading to probably the inspiration for this next 4-pack. And that is Doctor Doom, Iron Patriot, Taskmaster, and Loki. And that allows us to build or basically complete another team at this point where we've gotten a Namor, we've got an Emma Frost, kind of sort of, but that's a figure that could use a redo. Got a Hood, he's another one that could use a redo. So I'm really curious about this set because the Taskmaster they released not that long ago, really great figure, doesn't need an update. The Lady Loki they've already put out not that long ago has made her way or his way to Ross, to Ollie's, to Burlington's, etc. So I don't know if there's a huge demand for another version of this figure. And they're not going to do anything that risque with that outfit. So I don't really understand that. Really excited about the Iron Patriot getting made into a figure, though. That is a character, a version of Norman Osborn. And as I'm going through reading along with this era of the Avengers, like, oh yeah, we definitely need the Iron Patriot, and we need it with a removable or swappable helmet so I can do the Tommy Lee Jones inspired version of Norman Osborn. So I'm happy to see that figure getting back into the mix, and that's going to further help build out the Dark Avengers. We've kind of made some headway with them. We've got Ares, we've got a new Sentry, we've got a symbiote Spider-Man that works just fine. We probably need a new Dakin, and we still need that Miss Marvel version, and where she can function is Carol Danvers and Moonstone. And we still need another version of Marvel Boy because the version we got is his Young Avengers look and not the Dark Avengers one. So that team is getting closer to getting completed. Now, if they were going to update a figure, I really wish instead of Lady Loki that they had done a better version of the Hood where he has a hood that actually works and makes sense. He didn't have that goofball expression of fanboy angry or angriest, the angriest fanboy alive that they came up with for that head sculpt. And just, he's kind of an important character in the Bendis run. And that figure that we got is pretty terrible. And I would love to have seen him get a, how do we make that old figure that we just crapped out way better? So a separate hood piece. I know they wouldn't do the normal thing that we would expect with a wire foldable cape where we could pose it around. That's too much for them. But I think a better cape mold and a separate hood piece would have gone so much further with him and just really knock that character, that figure out. So still got to wait and still keep him on the drawing board. And then the final one on Rectangular's list is one that it's another one I think from a certain perspective, depending on how deep you want to go with the team, actually completes one. Yay, Hasbro. It's Destiny and Mystique. I feel like we've gotten several Mystique figures, so I don't really need her. But getting Destiny completes the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. It completes the second version of that team. But we still have 3 more members we still need. Silver Saber, Crimson Commando, and Stonewall. Still need those 3. Working on those. I said Silver Saber, didn't I? I think it's Super. I don't know why I always forget the Speedster's name on that crew, but I always do. And yeah, so we'll get him knocked out and get that whole squad and completed. This is just gonna drive me nuts and absolutely bonkers until there we go. Super Saber. There we go. I was just gonna drive me nuts until I got that down. Anyway, so that's all the figures that Rectangular revealed on the leak list. So I'm most excited about Iron Patriot, finally getting him. Hopefully a Dan Ketch Ghost Rider, a new version of Quicksilver, new head, a Warbird. Really looking forward to seeing her. And Iron Fist, finally. So those are really exciting additions. There's still so many Marvel Legend figures I want that is like, that's kind of scratches the surface, but nice solid lineup. Now, JT Prime also came back with a new set of leaked reveals, and not so much in the hey, here's the figures XYZ we're gonna get. It's just a listing for Secret Wars comic book style figures. So I think this year is the anniversary of Secret Wars. I think I don't quite remember where we are with the year time for Marvel superheroes Secret Wars. Let's see here. Let's check it real fast. When did this come out? It came out in 1984, so May 84. We are in the big anniversary year for it. So that's exciting, which means we're going to get comic book style characters of Secret Wars. Now, this only has listings for 6 figures. I can go so many different ways because there's still a lot of characters for Secret Wars that I need in my collection. I'm going to go first off with probably my most important one that also basically completes the team. And I'm sure you guys would have known, this Rogue from her Secret Wars outfit, her original X-Men team outfit. We actually wrap up the X-Men with her. We've already got Cyclops, we got Colossus, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Punk Rocker, Storm, and Rogue completes the squad. Very excited about this because this is an avenue to get her out. We haven't gotten a Rogue released in a few years, so this is a great opportunity, this wave, and we know how popular the X-Men are, so I'm really hoping that she is part of this wave, and we'll see her coming up. Next up is another character that's kind of obvious, Titania. I mentioned her a ton, and she needs a figure because she's got a cool look, and she's a villain that can fight and join up with your Masters of Evil and battle your Avengers. So you got to get that character into the mix. And of course, I'm going to do her. We're going to put her into the mix. Probably should have another character. And you guessed it, I'm talking about Absorbing Man, who desperately needs an updated figure. So yeah, I mean, we just need him, and we don't need a crazy half-done Absorbing Man. We just need a basic one with him in his prison garb look, like I just escaped from the pokey. Look, maybe we can get some swappable parts. I'm fine with that, but I just need a basic Absorbing Man with no power showing. Just need a simple basic one. We got a way too tall version, but I need one that scales a little bit better with Thor, scales a little bit better with the other figures, and doesn't tower over everyone. Great opportunity to get him worked into the mix. And then, of course, another character that I desperately need, and this is more to complete the team, and this, well, getting really close to completing the team. And I'm talking about Secret Wars era outfit of Wasp. And I'm looking at him, seeing like, man, Hawkeye probably needs a figure to reflect this era and the time frame of the West Coast Avengers better, but we're working on it. We got the classic one with the Sky Cycle. That's next for him, I would assume. But Wasp is really needed. This is a cool outfit for different look. Basically, it's not the same old black and insert random color. It's not red. It's magenta. It's green. Cool look for short hair, and definitely overdue in terms of popular looks for Wasp that we need in figure form. And then next up, so we're closing it out. We're getting really close. I'm always about completing teams. That is a huge thing for me. Let's get this team nearly completed because I still, like I said earlier, need a Hawkeye. But let's get She-Hulk in her jumpsuit, and I'm going to workout socks / boots attire. That's cool. And I almost wish there was a way they could kind of do a chase version where you just use basically this same outfit and give her the Fantastic Four, just paint in the chest circle and her neck piece area. I think that would almost work if they cheated on the ridges of their shoulder pads there. But She-Hulk definitely needs more of a comic book style figure now, and more of an 80s style than the really modern version that we got. It's a really good figure. I really like it, but I need a classic version of She-Hulk. And this would be a great opportunity to get her back into the line, to hang out with her whole crew. And my final choice, this was tricky because there's so many more characters that need this, but I decided to go easy and simple. They've done a lot of these figures. And I thought about Volcano for a second, but I've already got a lot of women in this lineup with Rogue, with Wasp, with She-Hulk. So I had to sit Volcano out for a moment. Maybe I put her in a 2-pack with Molecule Man when it's sized a little bit better. But I decided to go with Wrecker. Wrecker is overdue for a new figure. We need this classic look for him. We need to size him down better. And then I can get a 3-pack, maybe hopefully later, with the Wrecking Crew, because they're essentially using the same mold. It's just new headpieces and a couple of new parts for the different characters. But if you get a mold that works, like the Hercules mold, that'd be fine for the Wrecking Crew. We'll be okay. Wrecker probably needs a little bit more work. I'm not sure how much effort they're trying to put into the Secret Wars lineup, but he's a really good character. He needs a less gigantic size version, and this would be a good opportunity to get him out. Now, having said that, the Secret Wars wave is probably going to be Captain America, the Doctor Doom, Iron Man, Wolverine, Spider-Man, maybe Hulk, and Cyclops, because they're so easy to knock out. Of course, if they want to do a new version of that John Byrne, Dave Cockrum version of Cyclops' outfit, I wouldn't be upset. But I think it's probably going to be a little bit of in between with that. We're going to get the Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America, and maybe 3 different characters. But hopefully it's all new characters that we desperately need to wrap up and to continue getting closer to having a full and completed Secret Wars lineup. Maybe that's something they would also think about including for a 5-pack where we get the Wrecking Crew, just the Wrecking Crew, the 3 of them and a couple other heroes to go in there. Maybe that's their opportunity to throw in another Spider-Man, maybe slightly battle damage to tease for the symbiote, a Hawkeye repaint. We call it a day. Maybe there's a compromise there, but I don't know. Let me see what happens. So a ton of good figures coming out. Probably the ones I'm looking forward to the most. Wolfsbane, Count Nefaria, a new Warbird based on how she looks. I'd hate to have to still use my original one from Hasbro, but I do like that outfit. I love her as a character from that time frame. I don't know what they've done with her lately, but really looking forward to some of these figures completing Freedom Force most of the way. And yeah, lots of cool figures coming from Marvel Legends in 2024. Let me know which figures you're most excited about, which ones you're like, they chose this one, but I really wish they had done this one instead. As always, thank you so much for watching. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.